Greetings. Again, as I told you, I gave you a heads up that those videos may cut short on me because of my camera. Simple camera I'm using, but I said I'm gonna use every second I get because I need to discuss this. So, as I said, John, the book of John, and the book of Revelation tells us in his nightmare, John was speaking to 7 different churches, different than those that Paul created and made up. So John was in the 4th century when Christianity spread on a large scale in Europe and North Africa and the Syrian province, which is today divided into 4 countries: Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine, or what the Israelis occupied, the Holy Land. Very well. So we are talking about people, and some of you lie and say that 2 of the disciples, Matthew and John, were those were 2 disciples of Jesus Christ. This is a lie. You have no idea. You have no knowledge. Your ignorance is anyway. All right, Qur'an of the Muslims, and we spoke about how many copies I showed you, and billions more. They match word for word, not like your book, not like Christian Jewish book. Period. The difference is between here and the kingdom of the Lord. So far apart. All right, follow very well. All right, let's take an example how your book is not from God and the Muslim book is from God. We open to the first chapter, Genesis 1:1, and we open the Quran to different verses that describe the beginning of creation as Genesis described. In Genesis 1:1, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth." Remember how I said I held many different versions of the book, and I said they do not match? Now, Christians decided in some, because Paul said that he saw a man caught in the 3rd heaven. The older versions of the Old Testament, they used to say heaven, but now we have 3 heavens. So how Christians can, justify? So now we have some versions in Christians' hand. Some versions say heaven, 1 heaven, and other versions say heavens with an S, many heavens, at least 3. So, here is another contradiction in the different books. So, one book from the other, they do not match. Let's go about this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So, did God create the heaven or the heavens? All right. No. Paul lied. According to the book, there is only 1 heaven, not 7 heavens or 3 heavens. According to Genesis, according to God. But to the man, this liar Paul, it's different. It's a story altogether. 3 heavens. A man was caught in the 3rd heaven. All right, how, it is 1 heaven. Originally, it's 1 heaven. In the Jewish hand, it's 1 heaven. God created the heaven, which is closer to the truth. This is found in the Quran that, Allah, the Lord of Islam, resorted to the heaven, the mother of all the other heavens, the mother of the other 6 heavens, to have him 7 heavens. All right. So if you go read in the first chapter of Genesis, then the Lord says, according to them, that the whole planet was just full with water. Water was all around, and the Spirit of God was hovering on top of this deep. The deep means water. But a verse before, God, their God, the Jewish God, the Christian God said that earth was formless and empty. Formless and empty, void. It's a void. So then, the next verse says, that this God, this amazing, that it's full with water. Have you ever heard that water come from nothing? Can you go to any void land, a desert today, and find water all around? Void and empty. If we bring two glasses, one is empty and one with water. The one is void. You cannot see water inside. Because water is not from the structure, it's an add. So void and empty, and then there is water everywhere. Really? Well, if you're talking to somebody 3,000 years back, or 4,000 or 5,000 years back, they are so ignorant and illiterate, they can believe any of such. But today, with all the science in our hands, we know void means void and empty. Full with water is full with water. It's not void and empty. So this is a lie spoken clearly in the book. Now later on the chapter, you can go and read the chapter for yourselves. Later on, God said that, He told all the water, to move to one side. He pushed the water, it was all over, He pushed it to one side. Try to do that if you can. I know God can do anything, right? Okay, but this water, that pushed to one side, physics, tell us, if you push water to one side, it will slide right back. But God, in the beginning, He pushed the water to one side, and then there appears land, ground. Can you imagine that? Is that the state of our planet today? Water is on one side and land on the other side. After that, now we have land. Now we need a sky. So what did God, do to make a sky? He went to the part where all the water is gathered, and in between, the book says, literally, and God made a firmament, something firm, something solid, doesn't dissolve, firmament, between the water above and the water below. So now, all this water to one side, push inside something firm, firmament. Now the water is above and the water is below. And He called it sky. Those Christians have nuclear physicists. They invented space travel in my country, the US. Yet they believe in this rotten stuff. Is this how heaven is? When you traveled, dear astronauts, when you traveled, can you please come back and tell us, did you see water above the heaven? Did you go through water like a submarine? Were you able to survive that? Did the jet engines that you have on your shuttle travel through water like it travels into empty space? I tell you what, if you have an atom like, or even less than an atom like, even if you have an electron inside the atom size of a brain, go read chapter 1 in Genesis on your own. Come back and explain to me why you accept that. Now later on, we see that, paradise, was created, the garden of east of Eden, and two trees are found. If you pick up fruit from a tree, you become so full with knowledge to differentiate between the good and bad. A fruit from the tree. will give you knowledge. Humanity struggled after this fruit from the tree, from the miserable fiction. We struggled for thousands of years to reach where we are today with our knowledge, vast knowledge. And today, with the help of computers that are so smart, eat from a tree, he becomes with such knowledge. Now, was that the end of this ignorance that we have? No. There is another tree. If you pick up the fruit and you just eat, before you throw it in as shit in the bathroom, you are given life eternal. You will live forever. And that's why God kicked Adam out of paradise, according to the Jews and the Christians in their book. This is the reason why. Not because, he sinned and he ate from the tree and no. It says literally that God was scared that he might touch the other tree, the tree of life, and eat from it and live forever. So he took him out and he protected the entrance with fire. This is the God of your book, dear Jews and Christians. Let's come to the Qur'an about creation. Let's start this story of creation. We gave this example from your book and your nightmare. Let's read from the Qur'an to see who is the true Lord and the word that makes sense. In the Qur'an, Allah of the Muslims say, haven't you seen that the earth and the heavens, the universe, were one part? ألم ترى أن السماوات والأرض كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما, and we split them asunder, we split them apart. They were together and we split them apart. Together means nothing first. But from this nothing came the splitting, universal splitting, that produces a huge noise. So some people today, scientists call it, in their own way, scientific way, a human scientific way, they call it the Big Bang. Because, a Big Bang produces a huge sound. Bang! Okay? So, but, in Allah's words, He said they were together, we split them apart. And that's exactly what we discovered in the recent centuries. That Earth and all the planets and the heavens were nothing, one part. And one thing happened that split them apart. Call it explosion, call it Big Bang. So this is how Allah described. And then Allah say that He came to the heaven, one heaven. So one word in the Jewish book, in the Jewish books, not the Christian books today, one word in the Jewish book, say one heaven. That's right. That's correct. But how this happened, not because they knew, they had knowledge, no, but because they see one heaven, so that's what they understand. But Allah in the Quran, because He created and He knows, so He's explaining to us in another verse that He came to this heaven, the mother of all the heavens, and He made that from one heaven He made seven heavens. And that's not the end of the story. He goes in another verse and He explains that those seven heavens that form the universe above are inside the throne. Inside the throne. So this is not the kingdom. The kingdom is outside. So if you need thousands of light years to cross, the borders of the first heaven, imagine the seven. And this is inside the throne. And the size inside the throne. The space inside the throne. So what is the size of the kingdom? Now, yeah. Okay. We are so small like insects. We cannot comprehend that much. That's way beyond. So let us not discuss. Anyway. So, and the Lord of Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, says in a different verse As he started everything from scratch and smoke, he will return it. كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده. As we started the first creation, we will return it to that. So what scientists discovered that the space is keep expanding outwards to a certain time when it will stop. The momentum, it will lose the momentum, the speed. It's slowing down, not as fast as before from the beginning of the bang. Then it will stop, and under gravity and the dark matter that's holding the universe together, it will start coming back and collides. And they call it the big crunch, meaning everything will return to the nothing that it was, literally translating the words of Qur'an. That was given to us 1438 years back. If this is not a good proof for you, there are endless. Quran speaks about the dark matter in the universe. Quran speaking about the knocking star that produces a sound, al-Najm al-Thaqib, that you can hear the sound as if somebody is knocking on the door if you get closer. And it is faster knocking as you withdraw back. All this is explained in a beautiful manner from the Creator, from the one who created the universe. Not like water pushed to one side and the ground appears, and then in this water you put a sky, a firmament, something firm. If it's something firm, our shuttles would not have made it through. So it's not only water we're dealing with, but something firm. And something firm, if you hit a wall with a ball, the ball will not go through. And so the shuttle will not survive. It will crash. I swear. Endless examples in the Quran tells us that this book, the Noble Quran, is from the Creator who created, and He describes, and He told us 1438 years back, I will show you the proof, the explanation, the details. Do not rush. It took us 1400 years before we reached this kind of knowledge today. Now we understand some of the verses in the book. 90% of the verses are easy to understand, but 10% are about futuristic events. Even right now, we have another futuristic event and many others. But this one tells us that we will go into the speed of light. And we are approaching that. But Quran mentioned that we will do it 1400 years back. To penetrate the diameter of the first heaven, to go to the second, and then we will be destroyed. We are not allowed to go to the second heaven. We are having problems, to cover part of the first heaven anyway. So let us not, go there anywhere and waste time. All this came from the Lord, through a humble, simple man who never read a word in his life. He is not literate, educated. He never read a book. He never knew how to write. In the middle of a desert, harsh desert in the Arabian Peninsula. A man who existed 1400 years back. You can imagine what kind of education those people had to bring us this kind of information, scientific, marvelous information. And the book is full with such. It's full with such. From cover to cover. It's so full. Miraculously full. And the Jewish Christian book is miserable beyond any belief, beyond any limits. I just give you the example from the very beginning, chapter 1, how their God, started creation. What an idiot, someone should be to accept that. So I invite all Christians, please, do yourself a favor. Go to the book right now. If you have time, open to Genesis 1, chapter 1, read it, and see how the universe was created. Come back to me and prove and shoot it in my eyes, the proof that you can bring. But don't speak utter nonsense, non-biblical lies. Like, when the snake said, that the Lord, that God of the Old Testament said to Adam, if you eat from the tree, you will surely die. But the snake, who knew better, she said, no, you will not surely die. Then the Christians come and lying and say, spiritually, you will die spiritually. That's not non-biblical. We don't have that in the book. So don't come to me proving with lies, with your sick imagination. I don't need your sick imagination. I've been dealing with people with sick imaginations all of my life. And I had enough. So don't come to me, no, surely die spiritually. Where do you find this stuff from? The dwelling of Satan. That's where. So you need to stop. You have my video. You can respond under the video. Send me your reflections. Tell me. One person said, you can never prove to me that, the Qur'an is from God. Of course I cannot. If you don't want to understand, no force on earth, not even Jesus Christ or the Father himself, can change your mind. Nothing can. You don't want to. This is you are doing on purpose, willingly. This miserable state you are in is of your choice. But if you have an atom like of a brain to think, you will listen to what I'm saying and rationalize. But you will try to work your way around like a snake, poisonous snake, like a demon of some kind. So go ahead, live in your ignorance if you wish, or listen to what I said and use your brain if you have any, and maybe good results. Keep your hands crossed for good luck. All right. I am not going to continue this series because I have to go back to my work, and I have so much work. I'm so busy with that work. So, but if you have questions, I'm ready to answer to the best of my knowledge. But do not come with insults. Please. Be civilized. Take care and be safe.